Hello everyone, in this video I'll talk about why supplementation can be dangerous. Now everyone seems to have bought into this idea that taking supplements is absolutely safe and fine thing to do, and it's a safeguard to your health, and it's a way of ensuring that you're getting all the nutrients that you need. And that's important in the modern world because those dastardly damned farmers, in collaboration with the government and lots of other nasty people, have decided to deplete the soil. Their own land that has been passed on down to them often by their fathers, by their grandfathers and grandmothers, that they've been farming for years. Those dastardly people that produce most of our food have decided to just destroy that soil and diminish it completely and sell us food just for profit, you know, and using all these chemicals to destroy everything and to poison us. And that's what people are literally buying into. Now, that sounds stupid when I say it like that, doesn't it? Doesn't it? It does. It sounds absolutely daft. But that's what people are buying into. But how about you go and visit your local strawberry farm? Does it look like there's a bunch of people trying to damage soil and and use copious amounts of chemicals and destroying everything? Or does it look like they're trying to grow strawberries? And they've got plenty of land, by the way. There's like a small amount of their land they've got plenty of land, they've got plenty of soil. They're not destroying all the soil. Nah, just you just need to go and speak to some farmers and think about it and realize, oh, that's all a concoction, a myth, a story designed to get me to buy into supplements because I desperately want to believe I can buy health in a jar that I won't even consume because it's just about buying the product so I feel like I'm doing something. And that's the reality of a lot of things. Great business. Go and start a business selling supplements if you want to make some money. No problem in doing that. But you're not really helping anyone. It's not a good thing. What you could do though is create a community around that business and give people the right information, the diet information, the exercise information. You could do all that. So maybe that's a good way of doing it. And the sales of the supplements can fund all the good stuff that you do. So maybe you could do it like that. I think that's what some people actually do. Anyway, why supplementation can be dangerous. Sometimes it feels like people go to doctors and health practitioners, and the doctor is just like throwing darts at a board. Maybe it's a deficiency. Oh, maybe it's a virus. Maybe it's, let's see, what did it land on this time? Mercury toxicity. Candida. Have you looked? Are you still using fluoride in your toothpaste? You know, and allergies. Maybe it's allergies. Just trying a different thing out. Kinesiology test. You're too low in protein. You need a bit more salt in your diet. Next week, oh, you need more calcium. You need to drink more milk. You know, just random information, random ideas. Now, when it comes to people being unhealthy, there's many times where we don't know what's going on. We don't really have a good idea what's happening to a person. You might be feeling tired for a while. We might not be, we have no idea why you're feeling tired for a while. Maybe you're just going to feel tired for a while and then you're going to stop feeling tired for a while. Well, what happened? Who knows? Was it a virus? Maybe. Who knows? Was it some detox going on? Who knows? Were you not sleeping well? Was there some underlying stress? Was there some underlying emotional issues? Were you waking up at night and not realizing it and getting 2 or 3 hours less sleep than usual? Who knows? But things like that happen, come and go. And issues come and go, and health issues come and go. We don't always know the reason. But when you're on a different diet, for some reason there's an assumption maybe it's the diet. And people on a raw vegan diet or a vegan diet are very conscious of that. many people on a vegan or raw vegan diet still have programming in their head to say this is a deficient diet. There's something missing in this diet. I must make sure you know, they have that programming. They can't let it go. Can't let it go. And when they have any kind of health issue, they immediately go to diet. They don't go like everyone else to every other thing, thinking it's pollution and, you know, and thinking it's genetics and thinking it's a virus and thinking it's some external thing. They think it's their diet. They almost immediately think must be the diet, must be the diet, must be the diet. What am I doing wrong with my diet? And that's not always a great idea. And the problem goes when they then supplement or get a blood test or get some kind of test and something's low. And for some bizarre reason, they make the assumption, that's what it was. And a doctor is happy to go, yep, maybe that's what it was. Heard about a guy who, I can't remember this whole story, but it was my dad's cousin was telling me that someone went privately to a doctor, went to a private doctor, and the guy went in and the doctor said, and the guy said, you had this problem. And the doctor went, yep, well, that's what it is. That's the reason. The guy had told him something he was doing. Yep, that's the reason. And then the guy said, no, but I've only started doing that recently. Oh, you've not been doing that? Oh, that'll be the reason. And the doctor just flipped it around. He just flipped it. Just said, yeah, it's that. Oh, maybe it's that. Maybe it's the next thing. Let me look at Google. Maybe it's that. You know, and I'm not saying that that's what happens all the time, but I'm just saying that sometimes we don't know. But it's very easy for a person to go in and say, I'm a vegan. Is that what it is? I'm raw vegan. Is that my problem? Oh, and the doctor's like, I don't know. I guess we could do a blood test if you want, but I want to do a blood test. I want to do a blood test. I'm a raw vegan. Oh! And they go and get a blood test, and the doctor's like, oh, your B12's low. And they say, well, is my problem B12 deficiency? And the doctor's like, I don't know, could be. Could be. I don't really know. What's B12? I've never really heard of that. What are you talking about? And then the doctor, well, yeah, I guess you should take B12. You know, B12 is kind of low. And they go and take B12, and it makes no difference. And they're like, didn't seem to make any difference. And sometimes actually they get worse or they have problems. Now, here's the thing. Did you measure your B12 before you were a raw vegan? Or before you were vegan? Or did you just assume it was perfect? Did you just assume you didn't have any dietary deficiency? Oh, you assumed you had no dietary problems because you were on the standard diet and you've been marketed the idea for years that that's healthy. And you've been surrounded by people that tell you that it's healthy. So you bought into that notion. So you never thought about your dietary deficiency, even though virtually every health issue in your life was caused by your diet. But you never thought about diet. Then you took the medication, you did the other stuff, you rested, and you continued with the diet that caused all the problems. But now you're a raw vegan or a vegan. Now it's your diet that's the problem. And now you're going to make sure the doctor tests you and tests your nutrition. And then when the blood test comes back and shows that you're low in B12, then that must have been the reason. But what was your B12 last year? What was it 5 years ago? What was it 10 years ago? How do you know it's not higher now than it was then? You don't. People often don't. Because they never looked at it in the past. Now, if you're a vegan, there's a good chance your B12's low. There's quite a good chance. Now, there are a bunch of vegans whose B12 isn't low, and they don't supplement. But it's a good chance in general your B12 will show as being low. So what? If your health issue is not B12 deficiency, then that's not the solution. And you can supplement if you like, if you want to get your B12 up. But it could be the case that the body's not that bothered about getting the B12 up. Could be the case the body could bring the B12 up. Maybe it's choosing not to. Have you ever considered that? You ever considered that the body is taking in B12 all the time and only needs a certain amount in the bloodstream, so that's what it regulates to be in the bloodstream? Maybe that's the reason that people struggle to get their B12 up sometimes, because the body is not trying to put it up. Maybe that's the only reason that people sometimes have to literally pump it into their blood with a needle to get their B12 level up. Maybe the body's not that keen on bringing the B12 level up. Maybe it doesn't need it to be up. These are just ideas I'm putting across. I'm not saying I'm absolutely right on that. But unless you're specifically suffering B12 deficiency symptoms, and everyone goes on about the nerve damage and it's irreversible nerve damage. So, I mean, all that's that's dangerous or whatever. But you know, it's unlikely to get that far before you've done something about it. Now, vitamin D is another one where do you know what your vitamin D was 10 years ago, 5 years ago when you were a child? Probably not. But people feel whatever they feel, and they're not feeling 100% exactly as they think they should, and they go to the doctor and their vitamin D's low, so they want to supplement vitamin D. And people will often say in these scenarios, I was diagnosed with B12 or vitamin D deficiency. No, you weren't. Your B12 or vitamin D was lower than normal or average, but that's not necessarily a sign that you were suffering from B12 or vitamin D deficiency. It might be evidence towards that, but it's not a conclusive proof unless you're suffering from symptoms related to vitamin D deficiency. And if you say, well, I was fatigued and I had a low mood, like that could be a lot of things. But specifically where you're suffering from B12 or vitamin D related issues. So people are jumping to that. And it's fascinating to me because over the years I've seen people say, we were diagnosed with vitamin D deficiency, and then I always, so I just start asking the questions like, what was your vitamin D before? Who diagnosed you? What were your symptoms of vitamin D deficiency? Oh, I went to the doctor, my blood test showed my vitamin D was low. That's not necessarily vitamin D deficiency. I don't know. That's the way I look at it. It's the way I look at it. You're jumping to a conclusion. And the dangerous thing about this is that you might have another problem that's nothing to do with deficiency, that is actually the problem, but you're being distracted by B12 deficiency, vitamin D deficiency. It's my diet that's the problem. And I've seen situations where someone, for example, was on a raw vegan diet, wasn't doing that well, wasn't feeling that good, go to a particular practitioner, and that practitioner says, what's your iodine levels like? What's your vitamin D levels like? What's your vitamin B12 like? What's your that? And so they go down a series of testing and all this stuff, taking all this time, go down supplementation, adjusting the supplementation, and practitioner never asked the person, have you been diagnosed with anything recently? Have you been to a doctor? Because why bother ask those basic, simple questions when you can just rush to a conclusion that they've got a deficiency? To a man with a hammer, every problem looks like a nail. So, not asking any other questions, not asking history, health history, any medical issues recently. Turns out the person had cancer. They had cancer. But we're wasting time. B12 deficiency, vitamin D, iodine, wasting time when the person, it's like, have you been, well, if you're sick, have you been to a doctor? Have you been checked? Have you got a history of issues? What's your what's your doctor saying? Have you been diagnosed with anything? Do you have a history of being diagnosed with anything? Does your family have any particular genetic tendency towards any particular disease? Do you have any genetic conditions? Do you have a familial connection towards cancer? Like, basic questions. Why not ask some of those questions? But nah, what's your iodine? It must be your iodine. It's it's and this is where I say supplementation can be dangerous. And it can be dangerous because you're just playing around. Just playing around with things. Just pour in the supplements. There'll be no problem. There's no problem with that. What happens to, now this might be an analogy that doesn't make sense. Maybe I'm wrong with this analogy. But what happens with a bodybuilder that starts taking testosterone? Now, the human body produces testosterone, men and women. But if you start giving yourself testosterone, what happens to the production of testosterone in the body? It starts to shut down. Starts to shut down. Because there's all this testosterone just coming in. No need to produce it anymore. What do you think might happen if you all of a sudden start putting huge amounts of concentrated nutrients into your body? What happens to your body's ability to uptake those nutrients in a natural situation? Do you think it might be affected? Do you think you might be making put yourself in a situation where you need those supplements now? And not, oh, these supplements saved my life. No, you now can't stop taking them, because if you come off them, you're going to go through a period, you have to go through the period of adjustment. But you've just made your body used to a very high level of supplementation. Do you not see that there's a problem with that? Do you not see the other side of this? You shouldn't just be playing around with this stuff. And there is definitely a problem with having too much of a good thing. And the funny thing with, say, like iodine, a lot of the symptoms of low iodine are similar to the symptoms of high iodine. The same problems. Most of the health issues in the world today are excess, nutritional excess. It's just as dangerous. It's just as bad. It's not getting enough. So, I certainly think you should go along with your doctor. If your doctor is for sure, but if you're trying to coach your doctor into telling you that you've got a deficiency because you think that must be the solution, because you're scared, because you still believe that the raw vegan diet isn't sufficient, because all the bad farmers out there and all the nasty chemicals, I think you got to get some new programming. And that's a lot of the times when I'm coaching people, that's basically what I'm doing. A lot of the time is they're coming with these particular ideas, these particular mentalities, these particular things, and I'm like, why are you even thinking it's diet? Let's look at some of the other things that could be your problem. Why are you assuming if you're tired that it's something to do with your diet? There could be many things going on. Anyway, so I'm just sharing another point of view, another way of looking at it. I'm not trying to provide you with medical advice. And if you are genuinely diagnosed with genuine deficiency, then you do what you have to do. But I think diagnosing yourself, trying to figure out these things yourself, trying to assume what your problems are, is simplistic, is dangerous, and could be masking real problems that are underlying. So, I think in the modern world, your chance of developing a deficiency is very small, and most of those deficiencies that humans are vulnerable to are related to a lack of fruit in the diet, are related to us not eating the food that our body is designed for. So thank you for watching. Feel free to put your comments below. Like, share the video if you like. And, join us, fruitfest.co.uk. You can learn more about this stuff from me at the Fruit Festival. Thank you very much.